Holy City Center Radio is episode 111, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. Triple one, episode 111. I don't know if that means anything, if that's good luck, bad luck, absolutely nothing. Who knows? But I feel good, so we're going to say good luck. We've got plenty of stories to get into. Not much going on here since Monday's episode, so not a lot to share. So let's just get right into it. We've got an update on the shooting at Isle of Palms. New emails released by the Charleston Police Department are providing some new insight into a third arrest that happened hours after the shooting back on April 7th. The shooting injured 5 people, including 4 teenagers. You probably remember that. You also likely remember that authorities had arrested 2 people shortly after the shooting, but documents that were released as part of a Freedom of Information Act request have detailed a third arrest related to the shooting. Report is coming from Live 5 News. So, Freedom of Information Act, for those who don't know, these can be requested by, well, really anybody in the public, but generally are requested by members of the media, where certain organizations, specifically governments and schools and things like that, have to release these types of documents to the public. There are some exceptions. They can charge for it. It's a really interesting thing to look into if you have the chance. I don't have the time to get into it now about some of the ways that uh, government and other entities try to restrict adhering to Freedom of Information Act requests, but I highly recommend you all look into it. But in any event, Charleston Police Department released some emails and whatever else uh, with this request, and now we're learning there's a third arrest that is related to the shooting in Isle of Palms. So the IOP police have not said if either of the 2 people that were originally arrested, you may remember there's an 18-year-old and then an unnamed juvenile. They were arrested on weapons charges, but not with the actual shooting itself. So they still have yet to say who they think the shooter or shooters were. But thanks to those requests, we are now learning about a third arrest that happened. Those emails that were obtained from the Charleston police showed that they arrested someone the night of the shooting, a 17-year-old who was driving a stolen car matching the description of one of the suspects from the shooting. Around 11:20 p.m., Charleston police pulled over a teenager at Mary Adler Avenue and Glen McConnell Parkway over in West Ashley. And in addition to the person driving, there were 5 female passengers also in the car. The vehicle, as I mentioned, was reported stolen by the Goose Creek Police Department, so the driver was detained. The vehicle also had a bullet hole in the passenger side of the vehicle. Police and the FBI task force interviewed the passengers, but say they got little information other than the group was indeed at Isle of Palms during the shooting, went to Waffle House in West Ashley afterward, and then that's when they were pulled over. The driver said he had paid a friend to borrow the car to take it to the beach for senior skip day. He said he didn't have a gun that day and didn't shoot anyone. Police didn't find any guns in the car, but their emails say that when they looked through his phone, police saw pictures of him holding a rifle in the morning of the shooting and holding that same gun in about an hour before being pulled over. Police say he allowed them to look at his phone, and they observed those pictures, as I mentioned. When they asked the suspect, he said that the rifle was actually in another car he was with at Waffle House, but would not provide the identity of the person who had that gun in their car. There were also pictures of the teen at the beach wearing a crossbody bag, which is often used to carry guns. The teen said he dropped the bag while running from the scene. The teen was arrested that night and charged with possession of a stolen vehicle. Police say he has some prior juvenile arrests. So that's all that came out of that. So there was a third arrest. Again, no indication that this person is or was the shooter, but their involvement, as you can see, is tied into the Isle of Palms shooting incident in some capacity. So interesting that this wasn't announced by the police at any point. You know, this happened the day of the shooting. This isn't a new revelation. So interesting that this didn't come out previously. So still unsolved. Police say they're still actively investigating the shooting and reviewing videos that the public has sent in of the incident, but still need some help. If you have any information, call 843-529-3750. Next up, Dr. Annie Andrews, who you may remember is the former Democratic nominee in South Carolina's first congressional district. She lost to Nancy Mace, the incumbent. This week, on Monday, she announced the launch of a new organization that is called Their Future, Our Vote. Dr. Andrews says this organization will bring attention to the most urgent issues facing America's children and will advocate for policies that prioritize their needs and well being. Some of those issues, she say, will include, legislation and candidates working on climate change, quality education, accessible health care, sensible gun legislation, reducing child hunger and poverty, and strengthening democracy by protecting voting rights. Dr. Andrews said our children's health and safety should not be a partisan issue, and as you all know, it has become one, and has been, I'm sure, for a long time, but really seems to be one right now. And everything must be done to ensure that our children, regardless of who their parents support politically, have the resources and support they need to succeed. So, in addition to creating that organization, Their Future, Our Vote will also have an affiliated political action committee, also called a PAC. This one will be called Their Future PAC, although details about where exactly that money will go are unknown at this time. It's expected that that money will be donated perhaps to candidates that fit the values that this new organization has been talking about. So you can expect, that they'll probably donate some of that money to candidates who are running on some of these things, like trying to take action on climate change, trying to help fix the education system, improve healthcare, want to pass sensible gun legislation. So, no surprise, it's going to be, I'm sure, mostly candidates that are Democrats, as those are the, as Dr. Andrews is a Democrat and ran for that party's nomination. So I would expect a lot of those more like kind of progressive, or at least trying to pass some of those issues, even if they're not the most liberal. So, if you're interested in helping America's children, if you believe in Their Future, Our Vote's mission, you can donate to their political action committee to help get candidates elected that want to work on these things for our country's children. And for more information, you can go to theirfutureourvote.org. Some sports news. Congrats to the South Carolina Stingrays. They have qualified for the Kelly Cup playoffs. They have had some deep runs over the last few years, and we're hoping for another one. Their first game will be on Saturday, which is the 22nd, at the North Charleston Coliseum. That's game one of the divisional semifinal round, where they'll be taking on the Florida Everblades. Puck drop is set for 6:05 p.m. Game two will also be at the North Charleston Coliseum. They will then go to Florida for the remainder of the series if one team wins out. If necessary, game six and game seven will be held back at the North Charleston Coliseum. So, two guaranteed games at the Coliseum, Saturday, April 22nd and Monday, April 24th. That one will start at 7:05 p.m. If games six and seven are necessary, they'll be back in North Charleston on Monday, May 5th. I'm sorry, May 1st and Wednesday, May 3rd. Be great to have more games, but we're hoping that the Stingrays sweep Florida and game six and seven aren't necessary, and we'll see them in the next round of the playoffs. But be sure to get out there. Hockey at the Coliseum with the Stingrays is always a lot of fun. If you've never been to a game, it's great. I mean, minor league games are usually awesome no matter the sport. And Charleston has some good ones here, whether it's the River Dogs or the Charleston Battery. But yes, Stingrays playoff action. It's stepped up a notch. It's a little bit more exciting than a regular season game. So I encourage you all to get out there and support the Stingrays. Hopefully they can bring home the Kelly Cup this season. And finally, some restaurant news. Folks noticed that KinFolk, a restaurant on James Island, had closed their doors. And according to Google, when you look up business information and also their Facebook page, the business is currently listed as permanently closed. The restaurant specialized in Southern style smoked meats, pulled pork, fried chicken, and soft serve ice cream. But now none of those options are available as it is closed. There's been some talk that maybe they're searching for a new location. I haven't been able to confirm that. So for all I can say for sure right now is that it is closed, no longer on John's Island, and there's been no official announcement from the restaurant or anyone associated with it, like a PR firm or anything like that. It first opened in 2019. People seem to really be enjoying it. They talked about the fried chicken and soft serve ice cream, of course. Who doesn't love both? But the restaurant was praised for both of those. But for now, again, heard some grumblings. Maybe it might pop up or they might try to come back. But for now, the restaurant is no more. And that will do it for this episode of Holy City Center Radio. I hope you enjoyed it. I have to thank my producer, Lindsay Marie Collins, as I always do. She's with LMC Sound System, but I have to thank her even more. What you folks won't know is that I screwed up more than I've ever screwed up on an episode before. She's going to edit all those out. You'll have no idea how horrible I was today. But I'm sharing it with you now for two reasons: to show that I am well aware of how terrible I could be at doing this sometimes, but also to thank and praise Lindsay Marie Collins for her amazing work on each episode, and I so appreciate it. I also need to thank Tyler Boone, whose music is perfect, and you hear it in each and every episode, never changes, so you don't have to worry about any editing with his music on this podcast. Thank you to you. Yes, you who's listening right now. I appreciate you checking out the podcast. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever your platform allows you to do. All of that helps out. So please, if you have a spare moment, do that. You don't have to do anything crazy if you leave a review. Just, sentence two tops. Real simple, real easy, and it helps the podcast grow. You can also support by going to holycitycenter.com/shop to pick up some merchandise. I alluded in the last episode that there may be some new merch on the way, and there is. It hasn't arrived yet. I'll be sure to let you know, but I got a couple new items coming in that I think people will like. In addition to that, you can go to patreon.com/Holy City Center and sign up for one of the tiers. One of those tiers, by the way, includes periodic merchandise mailed right to you. So instead of having to order merch, you support the podcast on a monthly basis, and then randomly some merch will show up at your house as long as you remain on that tier, which is fun. You get a little, maybe a t-shirt, maybe a hat, maybe a koozie. You never know, it could periodically show up with the Holy City Center logo plopped right on it. I assure you, it's far higher quality than I'm making it sound, but we've got some cool stuff on there. So I appreciate your support. I hope you all are having a great hump day, or whenever you listen to this. We're almost at the weekend already. Can you believe it? Not too far away. And before the weekend, you'll hear me again on Friday. I'm looking forward to it. Good night and good luck.